You don't know me. Are you asking me to sing? Because I'll do it.
No.
Nope.
And I was like, well, this is hideous.
Ba 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 ba. Yeah.
Hello, and this is Load Bearing Beams, the podcast where we talk about movies with the person we love.
Hey, I love you.
Yep, I love you too.
Oh, good.
Sometimes we snipe at each other.
Ooh.
But in the end, we love each other.
And in the beginning.
And in the middle.
Okay.
I'm Matt Stokes.
I'm Laci Roth.
We are talking about the First Wives Club.
Yeah, we are.
Why are we doing that?
Shit, why not? Well, that is the movie I selected. It's one of my load-bearing beams. I'm very fond memories of being very fun. I love a heist. There's some heisty elements in a sense to this. As we learned, there's immediately some fucking voiceover and some Wayback Machine, which I
by law that has to happen when we watch one of your movies.
Fucking hell.
The year was 1969.
I had hair.
Sirhan assassinated Robert F. Kennedy.
My hair was large. Very strange, uncanny valley situation though with this particular throwback and voiceover, because there's also a voiceover.
Yeah. I hate that when movies do that.
So distracting.
So Diane Keaton, Bette Midler, Goldie Hawn, and Stockard Channing as the fourth friend. We start with younger actresses playing them, but the older actresses' voices are dubbed in, which is very distracting. Especially, I mean, Diane Keaton. Nobody sounds like her, so it's coming out of this. It's just so weird. It's so unnecessary.
We also know what Diane Keaton looks like at this age. Due
yeah.
to Annie, and it's not that.
Yeah, movies, we get it.
Right.
We can understand.
Totally.
Different people will play different people, or you know what I mean.
We're gonna keep up. Just feel free to use the. Don't waste my time while I'm trying to figure out, is this crazy de-aging at a time when they didn't have that, and they didn't even do a good job. What the fuck? Yeah. Anyway, distracting, pointless.
Yeah, I had not seen this movie. The only memory I had of it was. I believe let's say 2012, because I remember us being in my dirtbag New Orleans apartment.
My favorite.
Watching my tube TV, like flipping through the channels on cable.
Did you have a tube TV?
Well, it wasn't tube, but it was
just one of those fat.
So there was a brief period in time when traditional TVs, they were still as deep, as giant as traditional old TVs, but the screen itself was flat rather than tube.
Oh,
so they were called flat screen TVs.
They were. I had two. It was as big as like my first apartment for first one bedroom. It's so big.
In that the screen itself doesn't curve.
Exactly.
And so that's what flat screen meant. But then very shortly after, LCD and plasma TVs.
They really should have switched to thin screen at that point.
Yeah. They should have. But
missed opportunity.
I just remember this came on. You're like, I love the First Wives Club, and it was the very end of the movie where they do their singing. And
you don't know me. Are you asking me to sing? Because I'll do it.
No.
Nope.
And I was like, well, this is hideous.
Ba 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 ba. Yeah.
This is disgusting. And I don't remember what you said, but I
probably cried.
I hid. And so since then, I've thought of this movie as like, oh, that's that movie with the like ridiculous singing number.
That's that musical.
And it's also like, unbeknownst to us, like bits from that have entered, like, couples have their little recurring things that they say and bits that they do. And
right.
Sometimes you don't remember how they started, but you and I over the years have randomly just gone, you don't own me.
Right. And then I convert that into something from like the Wiggles or something. I know my shades. Yeah, I don't know why they get strung together, but yeah, I completely forgot that's what you were spoofing when you would. And fuck you. If I'd known, I knew you were making fun of me, but not how you were making fun of me.
Well, I probably was making fun.
Yeah, you're making fun of
you, but
when I get too, empowered. Okay.
Oh yes, when you start thinking little thoughts.
Yeah, when I get in my harebrained ideas.
Put the kibosh on that. I was a stupid young man. Maybe in my old age I've grown wiser and not so hateful unnecessary musical sequences in movies. And
That yes.
it is a prejudice of mine that dance sequences that come out of nowhere and just singing numbers, they rarely ever work for me.
Because in your life, people did not erupt in singing or dancing, but maybe by living with me and our kid, you've noticed that no, singing and dancing can come out of nowhere.
Of course it can. And when we were watching this movie this week, they start singing, and it's a very sweet little sequence. And I was like, oh, no, this is not as bad as I remember. But it was not the sequence I was remembering. The sequence in question is the end of the movie. And let me just jump ahead. I think it's a disaster, the end of this movie.
Not what I remember.
And I will explain
all.
why. But I was hiding with a pillow in front of my face. I was so embarrassed for these three women. These legends of the screen.
Legends. Okay, wait. Okay, let's do our new thing where you tell me what your pre-thoughts are, and I'll tell you what my pre-thoughts are before embarking.
Did I text it to you, though?
Oh, farts.
Because I don't have my phone.
What? Why don't you have your
my phone is recording this video.
Oh, well, so, okay. Yeah, this is not a great method, my love. Okay, here you go. Do you want to read it? Let's read them in your own voice. Or do you want me to read them in your voice?
Go ahead.
I predict that this movie will be a
Am I talking?
Mm-hmm. Will be a Nancy Meyers-esque adventure through rich people's nice kitchens, and we'll see some kooky, horny women teaming up to do sort of a strangers on a train thing where each takes one of the other's ex-husbands and ruins his life. So the ruining can never be traced to the original wife. I swear Lisa Kudrow was in this, but it appears she isn't. I remember watching a snippet of this with you, Lacey, where the three women sing a show tune. I predict I would like it just fine. That part seems like an afterthought and little...
Well, because
I predict it'll be fine.
Because I'm just, most of it's like, here's what's going to happen. Where it was like, what do we think we're going to think of this movie?
The horny part, that threw me.
I was confusing.
Women were not allowed to be horny yet. Unless they were just horny. They had to either be Sex in the City, just fucking their way through town, or they just weren't horny.
No, you're not right. This was the 90s. This was the heyday of rom-coms, but I was confusing it with...
but horny women?
Because I was confusing it with like Book Club and like 80 for Brady and stuff. Like, where like
I've never seen
these geriatric women, like Jane Fonda's already in it.
These having
Diane Keaton's in it. What's her name? Lily.
Tomlin.
Yeah, is in it. And yeah, they're like they're old women, and their book club reads 50 Shades of Grey, and they're like, we should buy a butt plug, shouldn't we?
Again, that is like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
It's not. No,
I smushed everything together.
Yes, old women, young women, vaginas. They get the old smush treatment from you.
Yeah,
you're just like one of these ex-husbands. They're not even actually exes yet.
I don't want to be.
Anyway, let's hear my superior thoughts. Will be funny, and I will love the cast. Diane Keaton will be my favorite. I will sing loud at the end. Matt will groan because it is a song closing. I was wrong as to why you groaned. You groaned, but not because it's a song closing. You'd already accepted.
Yeah, I did know it was coming. It's because it's shot and produced like it's an actual musical movie.
Yeah, all of a sudden the music
sense.
comes in, and it's like, and Joe.
I was watching it 10 minutes ago on my phone to get ready for this, so I had my headphones in, and you can tell when Diane Keaton starts to sing, you're like, well, this is now a different audio mix.
It's completely different.
Yes.
It's in the studio.
And here's the real problem. The real problem is they're not looking at each other.
Right. They're not having a goof.
They're playing for the camera.
Right.
And if this happened in real life, it could be charming if they were doing it with each other and laughing, and this is silly, but we're having so much fun. Or we're not, or the point is we don't feel silly. We feel empowered, but still you're going to be feeding off each other and not staring dead-eyed into the camera and don't tell me what to do.
Audience on the pod, you cannot see this and I cannot explain it. So you'll just have to see it on YouTube, what Matt just did with his body. It's worth it. But because you're right, it's very jerky. 5, 6, 7.
And yeah, because
get it. Kegel.
They're singing along with a track that isn't diegetic. They're not hearing it. So what are they dancing to?
Empowerment?
They're all hearing
Oprah vibes?
They're all hearing the backing track in their heads.
Well, they've all sung up with their menstrual cycles, so I assume you hear the same show tunes, quote unquote, whenever it's time to sing.
Well, let's talk
I
about...
wish you would please recant. This is clearly not a fucking show tune.
Well, okay, fine. But you
No,
know
not okay, fine. No. This is a little Motown hit.
Yes, that's true.
It's not fucking
there's
show
this weird part of Laci, and me and Laci met at work when I started working for this law firm that she worked for.
Weird.
And my first day, the two founding lawyers of the firm had a party where they together sang a song from Dreamgirls to like celebrate this firm and its many achievements.
It was still new. We were all very proud. We had formed it together.
And for some reason, I thought I put this song from this movie into that memory.
Right.
And so I assumed this song, You Don't Know Me, is from Dreamgirls.
Yeah. And I can't remember the song from Dreamgirls, but I do remember liking
I'm a dream girl.
No.
Dream girl.
That's close. Big city. Dreaming, dreaming titties.
Checkpoint.
Okay. Gran Turismo.
Well, let's talk about the First Wives Club and sort of...
I mean, why not? We're already here.
Let's give some context. It was a picture that was based on a book by Olivia Goldsmith, The First Wives Club. Laci, have you read the book?
No, I have not. I've not listened to the book. No.
So the director is Hugh Wilson, the director of Police Academy. Have you seen Police Academy?
Of course.
You have? I haven't seen
the first one. I wasn't like a Academy head.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them.
There are a lot of movies that I lump in with like that what would you call that? Are those Saturday Night Live people in there? Is Eddie Murphy a Saturday Night Live person? Yes, of course he is.
But he isn't in
He's not Police Academy. God, I did that thing. Beverly Hills Cop. Yeah. But are there any Saturday Night Live people that...
God.
It's such a big...
Steve Guttenberg.
All right. Jesus, look at us not knowing
Kim
shit.
Cattrall, Bubba Smith, George Gaines.
Okay. Anyway, there's just a lot of movies and like... I don't know, maybe I associate them with my dad or something, like Blues Brothers and Caddyshack and Animal House. Like, they all seem like movies I would like and I would have watched, but there's something to, I don't know. I don't know why I've tried them and I just don't like the flavor.
It's a big blind spot for me sometimes.
But I can't even identify what the spot is because I love comedies.
Well... Oh, just the spot in, like, you know, I have this vague thing of, like, I'm going to see every, like, at least big notable movie that's ever been made.
Right, but why haven't it's just strange. Blues Brothers, maybe I don't love musicals. Let's just say that. It makes me uncomfortable every time. I don't like that I can pace the movie that way. I'm just waiting for the next song. It bothers me. Maybe so I can understand Blues Brothers. Anyway, I guess it's not that very interesting. It's like, why don't I like things? Anyway.
Oh, so I shouldn't ask my follow-up question, which is why don't you like musicals?
I just told you why.
Okay,
I don't know.
That you're waiting for the songs to start and you're just on edge?
Let me I do like musicals. I like them once or twice, unless it's Grease, which the whole thing to me is a musical. But I don't like waiting for I don't know. It paces the movie in a weird way. I feel like okay, now I've got to get through 2 more songs, then it'll be over. It just doesn't, it interrupts the flow. It does not enhance for me. So a musical, I like to watch it once or twice. I do not like to over and over and over and over and over again. It's like pick a fucking lane. I don't need you to like pretend you're actors and then that's weird. That's a weird opinion. But like there's people who will watch Rocky Horror Picture Show over and over because they love camp. And it's like, yeah, I like camp too. So I'd watch like Hairspray. But that's dancing. That's different.
We talked about this on a Grease episode, how it's weird that like that you can watch a musical and be like, well, I like everything but the music, which is like that's the point of the movie. What are you doing?
I guess I've never really thought about it. They make me uncomfortable.
You know, our very first episode was about Dirty Dancing, and I remember when we were talking about that, and it was a revelation to me that the reason you like the movie is not because of the dancing.
Well, but I love the dancing. And that's why I just made the distinction. I love a dancing movie. Maybe why I like Grease, because there's always dancing in musicals, but also why I hate the ballads. There's no fucking dancing.
In our Dirty Dancing episode, you're like, no, I don't even like the dancing. Or maybe it was the
true.
Dirty Dancing itself.
Yeah, it makes me uncomfortable. It's too grindy. But I love their dancing. I love their big number at the end. I love their practicing. I do not like when they're alone and they're being sexy together. That makes me uncomfortable. I was very young watching this stuff. My discomfort comes from knowing I should not be watching this right now. 6-year-old me.
You're 39.
Yeah, I can't help what gets baked in, man.
I'm
looking through my fingers.
You're not really a prude.
Not really not a prude either. I'm a lewd prude. Is that possible? I like to talk about stuff. I like to joke about anything. But when it comes to like me doing
not
things,
you, but like it's not like if we're watching a movie and people are like having frank discussions about sex or whatever, you're like, oh, this isn't the impropriety.
That's why I'm saying it's specifically connected to movies I saw probably too young as a kid. Those are the ones where I'm like, someone's going to know I saw sex.
Yeah, so you're like, because you're connecting it to a personal memory.
Well, right. It's that same illogical baked in emotion that I have for the movie in general. That is definitely Dirty Dancing. That is a movie that was like a super hit for like families. But you watch and you're like, this is very fucking sexual. There's a whole like back alley abortion scene. Like, it's not a movie for kids. I remember knowing, I did not know what they were talking about, but that it had something to do with knives and sex.
At the time, it was okay for like movies for families to like deal with sort of mature themes like abortion and sex, and it wasn't, kids can never know about these things. Versus now, we're like, if you know, like a couple who isn't married kiss, then people are like, this fucking Hollywood groomer pedo shit.
Yeah, you can say that those things are okay, and I'm not saying that they're not. I'm saying my family did not openly talk about abortion except for to say it was a sin. So as something being talked about and done by people you're supposed to like in a movie, it just would have been too like, I don't know how to feel about this. It feels too complicated and too nuanced, where my family wasn't talking a lot about the sins that they did and how, you know, we're just people, so it's okay. It was more like, let me go cry because I just thought of the sin that I did, and then let's talk about how we're Christians and we're not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's so. If there were
your family would have loved movies now, because that's nowhere to be found. I mean, fucking I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark last week. There's a sex scene. I mean, it's not. They're clearly about to have sex, and this takes up a few.
I remember.
He compassionately and sensitively makes love to a rock. But the point is, these things were present in media, and it wasn't. I mean, yeah, people were upset at the time, but now that is not something we talk about. It's just funny how these things. You think everything moves forward,
right?
At least in terms of art and what's like okay to talk about and present.
You think it's all of the same kind of reason that you know, help me, package things that already have a pre-baked in audience. What am I trying to say here?
IP?
Sure, but
franchise.
Yes, thank you, franchise. The same reason why that gets pushed through faster. It's like, well, let's just, whatever's going to make this a PG-13 or an R, let's just dial it back. Whatever's going to have any kind of resistance at all, just to get it through, we just got to crank this out. Let's just dial it back. Like, let's just smooth over these rough edges until there are no rough edges anymore. So,
I think that's exactly it.
Yeah.
I think, and as, you know, the global box office open, and it's like, well, you know, whatever country that we want to sell tickets in, their government's not going to be happy if we have this. So let's just get rid of that. And it just sands down everything.
Would you agree that at some point, well, I don't know where that tipping point would be, but it absolutely became a volume thing and not a quality thing? Like, there's just no way. You're not going to have the next Titanic. You're not going to have the next Jurassic Park. So only way to like make money in that industry maybe is to like get by and keep getting by, not try to blow anyone out of the water, or let me just get to the point where I can make 5 movies, because then I will not have been a one-hit wonder, and then maybe it's just this rush for volume.
Well, it's like people compare like IP or franchise movies or just anything with baked in recognition from the audience. That like the movie studios, which are all owned, they're all a piece in a much larger conglomerate now. Nothing, you know, Paramount is part of the bigger Viacom empire, and Universal is part of Comcast and everything. And that these executives they view franchises and IP. These are like safe. They're like savings bonds or whatever. Like,
right. If we and today's economy, we just need to know we've got a hit on our hands.
Yes,
so let's just
Disney,
do the safe
every
thing.
Disney movie, every classic animated film will be remade as live action, even though no one likes the live action, but they all see it because they're like, hey, I like this.
But like streaming definitely seems to have like kick that into high gear, because that's what made the whole industry so unpredictable. And so, like, I don't know if people are going to rush out to see this movie because it's just this random movie. They've already got movies at home. Why not do the safe thing? But it is like we are just like sitting around experiencing directors getting through their movies they have to do and waiting for the movie that they want. It's like every now and then we get a movie we're like, oh, that's new.
The classic model was for directors was one for them, one for me. I'll make a big studio movie so that I can do my passion project.
Right, I can contract it in.
But now it's, no, you only do the movies for them.
Right.
Because
no deals.
The infrastructure isn't there anymore for...
You're right.
But we're in a fascinating time. I mean, this is just a huge conversation we could have. But it's fascinating what's happening right now because the IP bubble is bursting.
Right. We're out of shit. We're going to be having a movie about Walmart soon.
The new Indiana Jones movie is flopping. The Transformers movie not doing well. The Flash was a calamity. It isn't working anymore.
Right. We were not stupid like you think.
Or people are just sick of it.
Yeah.
Like bubbles burst. People get sick of superhero movies. They get sick of every genre after seeing it a while. They get sick of every trick you've got. And so you have to do something new.
Yeah, I mean, things can be made by AI and bots, but we are not those. We are not AI and bots. So, like, even if you think we're going to get the same shit shoveled at us all the time and that's going to work because people are stupid, clearly it's not true.
Because
we all get sick of stuff.
We got used to movies make $2 billion because people in every country will go to see this.
Oh, so that's the standard. Like, if we don't get to there,
so
then,
what's the point of making an original movie of something that's, doesn't cost a lot, but is going to make its budget back and then more, maybe create some new movie stars? What's the point of doing that? We like making $2 billion. And so we'll just keep trying what we've done, but people don't want it anymore.
And you reminded me of something else, too. There used to be such a thing as like a contract for a director, or a writer, or a star to do a package of movies. Not necessarily any movie in particular, but just that, like, okay, you're under contract, you will do 3 for our studio.
Yeah, you get signed to
Right, but it's not 3 of the same thing or 3 that are just they're going to be a sequel to each other. It's like, no, you'll just have the ability to make 3, and that just doesn't happen.
Or like, yeah, we're 20th Century Fox. Like, you need to make a big budget sci-fi movie, but like, hey, you can have $100 million to make whatever,
Got it.
Your sort of spy thriller /
sort of a spy. There's a person who's definitely going to get killed. It's just like in
if
football.
You're sort of a spy.
Yeah, you just like in football. You go half speed. That's when you get hurt. So,
yeah, if you're only sort of a spy, that's when
I'm just in people's houses a lot. Like, from there, I don't know what to do.
That's what I would be. I'm into my job for a while, but then
am I spy?
It's just a job,
right? Ethan Hunt. We're friends. So does that make me a spy? Right. Okay, so the movie.
So Hugh Wilson directs. Scott Rudin, notorious bad person, produces. All right, our stars. We've got Diane Keaton plays Annie. Bette Midler plays Brenda. Goldie Hawn plays Elise.
Goldie. Okay, yeah, no, Elise.
Tell me about each of these women. What's up with them? What are their characteristics?
Okay, so Bette Midler has aged as a frump. She's always in school marm attire. Are we just going to leave out Stockard Channing?
Well,
I guess so.
The 3 leads.
It's fine. And then you've got Goldie Hawn, who is this clearly successful actress, but has hit a wall with her. She is chasing the dragon of her youth. She's not getting the role she wants anymore, so she's over plastic surgery and over depending on alcohol, and she's well, fliffity. I don't know.
She is playing Goldie Hawn.
She's definitely playing Goldie.
She won an Oscar very early in her career, which Goldie Hawn did, which I always forget about. Goldie Hawn won Best Supporting Actress 1969 for Cactus Flower, and then a few years later became a big leading lady.
Throwing shit off boats.
But the thing that Goldie Hawn does, the specific comedic energy that she brings to movies,
she's bubbly. She's
by the
all
time
over the
she's
place.
like in her 40s and 50s, and this really was happening to her.
Right.
People are like, "Nah, you're not gonna be."
Well, and
how about you play a mom? How about you play a?
When did Almost Famous happen?
2000.
So she's got like an up and coming daughter too.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I mean, she's literally competing for roles with her own
with
kid.
her daughter. Okay, interesting.
That's why you could play my mom is like so fun. And Elizabeth Berkley, God, I remember her like already being much older by here. I mean, when the hell did like it's not called Zach and it's not called the Max. Oh, Saved by the Bell. When did Saved by the Bell
Elizabeth
stop?
Berkley's in this movie?
Is that what I mean? Elizabeth Hurley? No, Elizabeth. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Showgirls.
She does play Phoebe. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
She's
that.
the one that really.
Well, I didn't watch Saved by the Bell. I've seen.
But
we
you've
watched.
seen Showgirls.
I know.
You've
that doesn't
seen her
mean
naked.
Yeah,
Matt.
she was clothed here, and she wasn't saying different places. So I didn't know who she was.
Okay.
Where are you from? Back east. From where back east? Different places.
She's not charming, but fine. She's always bothered me. Jessie Spano can eat a dick. So that's Elise, and then Diane Keaton is Annie, playing with the same name as she did in Annie Hall. And also we learned that Annie is her actual real life nickname. So Diane Keaton's playing a very Diane Keaton lady. And she's nondescript. It's interesting. The two of them that have a kid only have one kid, which seems like an interesting choice. Maybe it's very New York of them.
We want as little stuff to deal with.
But I feel like that's also an indicator that these were women who were smart and could have been high achieving. Like it wasn't high on their list to be a mom. They just did that, right?
Maybe.
Like it's just you just do it. But you also like you end up getting distracted and you play the role of mom to the one kid that you had, and then meanwhile your husband's getting more successful and gaining more and more of a social circle and status, and you get lost somewhere keeping up with him.
And the movie pointedly starts 1969 Middlebury College, which is
right. They're
big
all college graduates.
Liberal arts, famous for being one of the first co-ed colleges, and it's like 1969, the most exciting year ever. Like the future is ours. And we all just kind of end up, well, no, two of us end up kind of housewives. One of us is a super successful Hollywood actress.
And another one is, says clearly like a millionaire or a billionaire, Stockard Channing. But they all seem wealthy, but everyone always does in a New York movie. But,
this is all like, this is just this stunk of Nora Ephron, which I was surprised she's not involved in this because Rob Reiner makes an appearance, and also Nancy Myers and her husband are not involved in this either. Charles Shire.
You could have a nice kitchen without having Nancy Myers. And you don't spend a ton of time in the kitchen, to be fair.
But these are like, this is the obscene wealthy people who the movie doesn't seem to recognize. These are such rich people, and it doesn't make sense how rich they are. One of them,
a fucking furniture store.
I own electronic stores, and the other's an architect. No, it's appliances.
Whatever.
Because Sarah Jessica Parker wants to get a low quality TV for a
high value, right. But he also sells sofas and stuff. Like, I mean, it's soup to nuts. You wouldn't understand.
But this was the 90s. If you were like an adult and had a job, you were a billionaire. So.
Right. And if you own property in New York, like,
I know Goldie Hawn's just like, oh, I own a building in downtown Manhattan.
Right. Oh, we should use that for the thing we've been trying to do. Oh my god. Okay. What the fuck am I talking about? So those are the ladies. They all seem to be kind of playing themselves. Bette Midler, I wouldn't know personally enough, but she's a very theater kid, so she seems like her to me.
I only knew Bette Midler. I actually, until we did Hocus Pocus for this podcast, the only thing I knew Bette Midler from was The Simpsons. Let's go ahead and take a look at The Simpsons.
Oh, okay.
Miss Midler, I can't believe you do this all by yourself.
We're Americans. We deserve clean highways. Yo, pigs!
Oh, no! Bette Midler!
So I was like, well, she must rule.
Isn't she known for, I mean, she's known for camp.
For singing in movies.
Singing in movies, I know, and I love Bette Midler, but
Yeah.
I guess I don't love a lot of Bette Midler movies. I just love Hocus Pocus and this one, and God, I'd really have to think about it. I mean, Beaches is not one of my movies. What are some, I don't fucking know. I just know I love her when I see her, but I guess I really can't say
I think she's
watch a ton of
pretty
shit.
great in this.
Yeah.
And then Diane Keaton, you mentioned she's Annie, and people are constantly saying Annie.
Annie.
And I know this was a book, and the character's name was Annie, but Diane Keaton won an Oscar for playing Annie Hall. Annie Hall's like one of the most iconic. Like in 1996, there might not be an American movie held in higher esteem than Annie Hall. And
What happened, Matt?
and like she's iconic for her performance and her fashion, and like so it's just weird for everybody to constantly be saying Annie to her, but that's, I mean, you get over that. And I would say Diane Keaton, she's just playing Diane Keaton. She's, flustered, aloof.
She's mainly bangs and glasses, has no other hair.
Oh,
face.
mother. Like if you talk to her, she'd be like, oh, what? But, she's obviously very smart. She's Diane Keaton. I would say she's capital G great in this movie. I really love her. And
love her.
She's, maybe my favorite actress, at least of this era. But because of her persona, she can really annoy me.
Yeah.
If it's like not calibrated right. But this is really working. And I'll just say for about 45 minutes of this movie, I was like, this is fucking great. Like this movie's really funny. There's jokes. They're saying jokes. And I was,
the women are allowed to be funny.
I was getting clips and I just got tons of clips because there's just so many. Bette Midler's going to her son's bar mitzvah and she brings Diane Keaton, and Bette Midler's ex-husband Dan Hedaya is bringing his new girlfriend Sarah Jessica Parker, and she's like, Bette Midler is to Diane Keaton, she's like, I can't believe he brought that slut,
that fetus,
and he brought her here, and Diane Keaton's like, is she a gift? That's hilarious. But then the movie kind of takes a turn, and we can get to it.
Yeah. Which I did not, I mean, to me, as a kid, if I really liked a movie, I didn't want it to ever end. So I can see why this didn't bother me then, that it never ends.
Well, it opens in Middlebury College, 1969, and we have the three ladies who will be our leads, and then the woman who will become Stockard Channing, who is their fourth friend. And they're a little tight-knit group, and they're all super wealthy because one of them's like, my parents bought super expensive jewelry for all of us. Mm-hmm. And promise we'll be friends forever. Yes, of course we will. And then it cuts to Stockard Channing in modern times, and she writes some notes to her friends who she's no longer friends with, and then kills herself. Yeah. And this is sort of the inciting incident that
brings them all together. And then makes them think.
It appears they have not. I mean, they have not
seen each other since college. None of them. I mean, they all they even introduced themselves from college, or it's like, what?
Which, I mean, that happens. It certainly happens. A tight people fall apart, drift apart and stuff. And this was a moment in time. I felt like you were my entire world, but then things changed. Okay, yeah, that's fine. But then when Stockard Channing is like writing her letters to them, and like, I feel like it all went downhill when we stopped being friends, and you need to realize what you mean to each other.
I died from loneliness.
I'd be so annoyed if I got this suicide note.
Like, don't give me homework. You don't know my life.
Yes.
Bitch, you died.
That person from college? That was fucking 35 years ago.
She was entitled then. She's entitled now. Don't make me feel like I have to do math.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
fuck you.
But each of these three women has been recently left by their husbands for a younger woman. In fact, in a way, a younger version of herself.
Than all of them?
Yeah. So Bette Midler's husband is Dan Hedaya, and he's with Sarah
He's with a furniture enthusiast, which was just like Bette Midler.
She was his executive assistant.
Right.
So, which means she's a dumb bimbo.
Well, and working class, right? Like from there.
Which the movie's like, what a piece of trash. She doesn't know what to do with like a salad fork.
Oh, Maggie Smith's also funny in this movie.
She's this cast is amazing.
The cast is
There's
amazing.
So many people in this movie.
That's a little
excited about First Wives Club. This cast is insane. There's so many people in this movie. Like J.K. Simmons shows up and has half a line. He's a cop. Timothy Oliphant is a aspiring director or whatever.
Do you
notice who was the Goldie Hawn's ex-husband is Victor Garber. Did you notice who his attorney was? His attorney was J. Smith Cameron, aka Jerry from Succession. The general counsel on Succession, yeah. Because it's like,
I know that
she's
name.
Exactly who she is
right.
in Succession.
She's always an attorney.
Yeah.
Born an attorney.
And then Diane Keaton's ex-husband is Stephen Collins, upstanding guy
No.
child molester guy from Seventh Heaven.
Like, not he didn't. That show is not about child molesting. He just actually did that in real life.
Did that in real life,
Right.
and he's her ex-husband. And
They're separated.
well, okay, yes. One of my issues with sort of the second half, the direction this movie takes, is like he's the real scumbag of the 3 ex-husbands, and what they do to him makes sense. It's like, oh, okay, we can get to that, but he's Diane Keaton like thinks they're inevitably going to get back together.
They're working on their marriage. They're going to marriage counseling. She's seeing a therapist. She's very excited about this very skilled therapist. In fact, that's one of my favorite scenes. The first time you see her with her therapist, it's it's hardcore how she come. I mean, it's a backhand, a fronthand, a back. It's
Isn't
just
in Annie
so
Hall?
perfect.
Doesn't she complaining like I can't have sex with you, Woody Allen, because I'm so distracted by the crickets
noise.
in Connecticut? Is this This is literally supposed to be Annie Hall, I think. After she broke up with Alfie Singer, she grew up and married Stephen Collins and had a daughter.
Was she
so-
a lesbian?
The daughter?
Yeah.
We don't know. That would have been the sequel. So they've all been left by their ex-husbands. They find their way back together, have a little boozy lunch where they, reconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Get
think
real.
that these 3 women have like chemistry?
Yes.
Yeah.
They work for me in this movie. I think they work together, especially like the ganging up that Goldie Hawn's character and Bette Midler's character do. Like they're always kind of challenging Annie, Diane Keaton's character, which is like very much a real friend dynamic. Which is like
It
we
is.
get each other on a different level.
But though they also seem to be sparring the most, and Bette Midler's like pretty bitter at. Which,
Yeah.
like one of my old friends from college is this super successful movie star and doesn't talk to me anymore. Now we're talking again. I've got like some built up resentment that I'm going to let out. And then I watched my rewatch. I noticed how much they're talking about Goldie Hawn's alcoholism.
They're
which
very
they're like,
upfront.
You have a problem. You are drinking alcohol. Which is like, they're all drinking champagne and Goldie Hawn drinks it fast.
That's not fucking true.
Yes,
they
it
even
is.
went around in a circle. That she says, "I'll have a Virgin Mary." Bette Midler says, "I'll have a Bloody Mary," and then Goldie Hawn's character says, "I'll just have vodka." See, they all reduce.
Fine, but they are
no. And her fucking plastic surgeon says she's drinking too much. We know
Fine,
she's an
but
alcoholic.
they weren't privy to the conversation with the plastic surgeon, and they're being very judgmental.
Excuse me. If you're at lunch for 4 hours and the person you're with has 8 vodka straight drinks.
Mind your own business.
Okay.
She's a grown. She's better than you 2 idiots. She's
Fine.
won an Oscar.
If you're with someone at a lunch and they have 8 straight vodka drinks to your 2 Bloody Marys, there's a difference.
You think she's really happy to see us? She's
What?
letting. I don't
Oh,
know. They're
yeah.
so judgmental about this.
Okay.
And later in the movie, Diane Keaton is like having a freak out. She's like, "What if Bette Midler like is kind of like mean? And what if Goldie Hawn drinks again?"
Whatever. They're just coming out of an age where you weren't allowed to talk about the drunk in your family or the abusive person in your family. Maybe they come from a generation where it is actually very scary. Also, Stockard Channing, they already know that character was very drunk when she killed herself. So maybe she's feeling scared that Goldie Hawn. Why are you looking at me
No,
like that?
you're right. This is a sensitive portrayal of alcoholism. Yeah.
Whatever.
All right. Well, we said, Marcia Gay Harden's the therapist. She is treating both Annie, Diane Keaton, and her husband,
Aaron.
her estranged husband, Aaron.
Which is a
Stephen
conflict of
Collins.
fucking interest. But I guess if they started as
But I like
marriage.
that, Diane Keaton's like very infatuated with the therapist, and she keeps talking like to her mother.
very
like,
talented therapist.
Oh, mother, Leslie says this. And we come to find out Leslie's been sleeping with Aaron. Well, that's not okay.
And Aaron it had like a date and got Annie's hopes up and then
This is
fucked
insane.
her.
Yes, Aaron invites Annie to dinner. Oh, they have a big dinner. And you look so great. Let's dance. And
Let's
you're
dance with the
noticing this restaurant they're going to has like a old person prom going on.
I mean, they have updos. All of them have updos, and
Updo?
yeah,
that?
they've all went to the fucking beauty salon and had their hair done.
Did okay.
They're wearing ballroom length dresses, but they're eating dinner. What is this fucking place? How do you get a reservation? He's crashing some fucking anniversary party. I don't understand. Anyway, and then he takes her back to, I guess he's in a hotel room because they're separated. So he's at like some nice hotel.
Yeah, he's been
suite.
living there, I guess.
Yeah.
And invites her up, and then we cut to, and they've just had sex, although
we made up.
they're done
My son
having
is
sex
just
because Diane Keaton is now fully like
got her earrings back on. She took her
everything's
earrings
in
off
there.
to fuck.
And let me
Good
just
for
go
her.
ahead and introduce my Diane Keaton freaking out soundboard. Let's. That's from Something's
That's
Gotta
going to
Give.
be very nice to hear.
Because no one freaks out like Diane Keaton. But
Okay, but I just said it perfectly. I want that acknowledged. We just made up. All right, this is all as good as it gets.
Something's Gotta Give.
I mean, that's
No,
what-
that was
fuck.
great, Lacey. That was a great
you.
impression. We
So-
just made up.
No, I did it right.
I didn't say I did it better.
But you did it anyway.
And this is so weird. Yeah, they have sex. Sorry, they make love tenderly and respectfully.
Respectful love tenders.
Had uninspired missionary in the dark, and then Diane Keaton gets dressed, fully clothed, just neck to foot, totally covered, and she's just like, "Oh, I'm so happy, and tomorrow you'll move your things back, and I'm just so, and Leslie's so proud of, and I'm proud of us too." And he's like in his bathrobe, and he's like laying on his stomach with his hands up on his neck, and he's like, "I love you, Diane Keaton, I love you." And she's like, "Oh yeah, you love me," and he's like, "I got something to tell you. I want a divorce." And then she's like, "Well, we just made love. This makes no fucking sense." So
It's great. I just wanted, so romantic. A goodbye kiss. We did more than kiss. It's also gross.
this is why this guy's the real. This is the scum.
Yeah.
Like the other two,
He
like
improv this
marriages
shit.
end,
It was
and
improv.
and then they started dating younger women. That's it sucks to happen to you, but this is fucking weird.
That is totally.
Because then Marcia Gay Harden just walks into the apartment. She's like, "Hey, babe, I'm here for the hotel," and oh, this is awkward. And then
For the hotel. And clearly he has just cheated on Marcia Gay Harden because she thinks they're in a relationship, and now he's just fucked his wife.
it's true.
Yeah.
For some reason I wrote in my notes, I've always been curious. I would like to see a story of like people who are divorced. People sometimes get divorced and then go back together.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered, like, what's it like when they're dating? Like,
Well, why don't you just watch the movie? That is a Nancy Meyers movie. It's complicated.
because they're having like a secret like affair. But like, what if you decided to start dating your ex-husband? Would you just go like to dinner and the movies and stuff? And
Yeah.
I find that interesting.
Okay, well, that's what you do now. You don't need to wonder. That's what would happen. Continue.
Bette Midler goes to a store with her friend Bronson Pinchot, who it says she works for. We never see her working, but he's an interior decorator.
Yeah.
And Diane Keaton is doing the voiceover. She's doing voiceover narration, which is just egregiously unnecessary for this movie, and it just comes back at the most unexpected times. And so it was that we formed the First Wives Club. But Bette Midler goes to a department store, and she runs into her ex-husband, who's there with Sarah Jessica Parker, and Bette Midler's like, "Oh, you're here with that fucking little whore? She's so small. This is disgusting. She has bulimia. I hope she kills herself." And she says like tons of little insults at her, and he's like, "Oh, I told Brenda, you're driving me to the moon, I swear." And then Sarah Jessica Parker like heard all the mean things that Bette Midler says, and is like, "Hey Brenda, why don't you try this on in your size?" And then the score.
What is your point about
The
this?
score is so melancholic
Oh.
and just zooms in on Brenda's face. She's just devastated that this woman made a joke about her being
Overweight?
frumpy.
Right. You just made a joke about her being underweight. But yeah, no.
You were just insulting her. She
You're
didn't
right.
do anything wrong. You just accosted her in public and called her a
Okay.
trollop and
She did plenty wrong. Brenda worked at the store too. This woman had an affair with this guy that owns the store while his wife's also working there.
name one thing wrong with that.
I'm just saying, you're saying that the only one that's like that really deserves it is Aaron. I don't think you're right at all.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
you just said it.
no.
You said it. Also, he's
The
not
only one-
Also, he's not been sending them any money or offering to pay for anything. He keeps saying he's broke, saying he doesn't have money. And the whole point of that scene is that she comes out with an armful of stuff, the new girlfriend, and says, "I'm going to need all of it." So, and he's there living in this crazy expensive freaking apartment.
I've watched the movie twice in 4 days. Didn't pick up on any of that.
Okay, yeah. So he's not being supportive in his ex-husbandness.
That's not good. You should support. You should live up to your obligations. Now,
You just dropped your wedding ring on the floor.
I'm just
didn't you?
saying. I'm just saying. I think Sarah Jessica Parker's pretty sympathetic in this movie.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
And
she
she's very-
gets taken advantage of.
She's very good. She's. I kind of wish it was her and not Goldie Hawn. Can we just say
Yeah.
this? Both of us agreed Goldie Hawn's kind of the weak link of the
for
three
sure.
women.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's her fault. I blame the director. I blame Hugh Wilson.
Yeah,
for not,
she's leaning too much into what you would expect and not enough
she's
into.
like, you're not playing to the tone of what this movie is. You're playing this like much more, I don't know, campy, much more theatrical than what this is. Yeah, she's good on her own terms. She doesn't really fit with the other two.
And you've not watched any Sex in the City?
Not in. I mean, I
Sarah
watched a
Jess-
couple episodes in like the 2000s, but
Sarah Jessica Parker is wonderful.
I meant. Oh, I know her from movies that I enjoy her in.
Failure to Launch?
Not that. Not
How
seen
dare
that.
you!
But I was gonna ask you. You know, we're always trying to think of movies to do episodes about, and you like Sex in the City, and it's a big blind spot for me. And I've been thinking, if we ever do a Patreon or maybe launch a second thing, is we can do TV shows.
Yeah, our YouTube channel, we could do specials.
But the Sex in the City movies, or at least the first one, is that a movie that you like?
I liked it.
Can we do that?
Sure.
All
I
right.
haven't seen it since I saw it
Coming
in
up
theaters.
next week, Sex in the City,
Okay.
2008.
Okay.
I
I remember being over the top. All of them are over
from the
the top.
commercials, yes.
And actually, it's not something you could really watch. You need to know the show. I mean, it was just like a goodbye kiss to everyone who was sad the show was over. You can't just go in. You can't.
Okay.
You
So
cannot.
never mind about what I just said.
Fuck Patreon.
Bette Midler is from a mob family because she has an uncle, Uncle Roscoe,
Oh, but on her
or
brother's
Uncle
side.
Carmine.
Yeah.
Who's like, your father, he fucking gave all this stolen merchandise to your ex-husband. His books are crooked. And she's like, say what?
The fiction bestsellers.
So she's gonna. I mean, her uncle's in on this plan, but she's like, I'm gonna expose him. But like, wouldn't she get whacked for this? She's gonna
Whacked.
because like she's exposing
She's
the
not
mob and its dirty
exposing the mob.
secrets.
She's exposing the fact that his books are cooked. That's different. You don't
And
have
that
to associate
no,
the
one
two.
of the things that she presents to him when she confronts him is, I have notarized letters from my father saying he's giving, dear, what's his name? Dear Morty, I'm hereby enclosing stolen merchandise for you for your store.
She
this
just,
doesn't.
It's all a bluff. She's just threatening him. That's why she wants.
I know, but shouldn't the mob not support
Plus-
this?
Out of all of them, Brenda's still in love with her ex-husband.
I agree. And when because they're the ones who get back together, or at least
Yes.
Diane Keaton's like, in the future when this movie ends, Brenda and Morty will be back together.
Also, though they show the most dramatic scene with Diane Keaton's character, it's Brenda's character who keeps getting upset, sentimental, crying. Like, she's the actual one who's heartbroken.
Yeah, like she's like has her son's bar mitzvah and is like, we should be here as a family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cries on his bed when they sneak into his apartment.
And when
Morty.
she and Dan Hedaya are kind of like having they're having a rapprochement at the end of the movie, it is when I was thinking like, I'd love just a romantic
Just
comedy
them.
with these people. They're great together.
Scenes from a Mall. Is that a Bette Midler movie? Because there you go.
Never seen that, Mo.
It's someone important that directed it.
Starring Bette Midler and Woody Allen.
Yeah.
But not directed by Woody Allen.
But it
I
has
didn't know
that tone. Yeah. And it's just, it's their whole relationship kind of unraveling, but it's like it all happens at the mall, the whole thing.
Okay.
I think.
At the end of this movie, Morty is like, he's like realized, I don't like Sarah Jessica Parker so much. She's only in it for my money. And then
She's a child.
He asks Brenda, like, can we dance? And then when we were together, was I this old? And Bette Midler's like, yeah, but I liked you old. That's such a nice line.
That is nice.
So yeah, why can't we be watching the Brenda and Morty story? I don't know, because we're watching the First Wives Club. They form the First Wives Club. We're going to help each other. And it kind of, they don't say this, but this kind of is a Strangers on a Train thing, where Strangers on a Train in that movie, two strangers meet on a train and start talking and realize they both want someone else dead. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
I'll murder your guy, you murder my guy. It can never be traced. And
Yeah,
so
they
like,
definitely use each
they're
other's
using each
anonymity.
other's resources in a way that can't be traced back to
Yep.
them. Who's friends with Maggie Smith? Is it Goldie Hawn
Yeah.
who's friends? Okay, so
It's high society.
so Maggie Smith meets up with Sarah Jessica Parker and is like, you need this interior decorator. He's great. And the interior decorator is an ally of Bette Midler, but secretly he's one of the 10 worst interior decorators in New York City. Burn. Again, this is that 90s rom-com thing of these fucking billionaires. We need to be sympathetic to their plights. They have opinions on interior decorators in Manhattan and stuff.
Got it.
But
He's a hack.
he's actually going to give her well, that's not true. He's going to help them break into his house.
Right.
Find his.
The plot isn't I'm gonna make your apartment ugly. It's like no, they need to get in the apartment and find the cooked books that are still there for some fucking reason.
And what are they going to do to Goldie Hawn's ex-husband? He was like her producing partner, or it seems like he started kind of. They weren't equals. He kind of worked for her, but sort of worked his way up.
She produced his movies, and he then became, I thought, a director. Or he then, based on that, became something on his own as well. And then he cheated on her and left her for an actress. Well, so it's because she's the one that makes the most money in the relationship still. They go to finalize their divorce, and he ends up getting half of everything. Like he ends up getting alimony and like just, there's no prenup there. And so they have to liquidate all of their assets and then split the money. And so she takes that as an opportunity to take away his car, his furniture, his debt, everything she can think to take away. I'm liquidating, and then sells it to Brenda or Annie, I don't remember, for $1.
So that Annie can then use it to her husband as an architect. An architect was every husband in the 90s was an architect.
Anyway,
because it's like, we don't know what architects do. You just go to a job and like write on a piece of paper and make lots of money. But his partners in this architecture firm that he founded, they want out. So Diane Keaton can buy their shares.
Right. So they go and auction all the stuff that Goldie Hawn took from the husband, and they trick Morty's girlfriend, Sarah Jessica Parker, into buying it at extravagant prices. So they're fucking one husband over with the other husband they're fucking to get the money to fuck over the third. Yeah, it's very smart.
Their scheme is
it's heisty.
Yeah, we'll fuck over our ex-husbands. We'll get revenge.
And they get it. And then they want it again and again. It's like, it's this bottomless pit of money men. Why are we still doing this?
And at a certain point, it just...
But we want to get revenge. Like, but what have we been doing this whole movie? I don't...
Like, okay, Diane Keaton, she reconnects with an old... okay, when people have a breakup, they often reconnect with old friends. That's the thing that happens.
Sure.
The one relationship I had with you before you ended, suddenly I had friends again because it's like, hey, I need to talk to people.
I gotta fill the void.
I called up my old friends like, hey, will you listen to me now? And they did. God bless them. But Diane Keaton reconnects with her old friends who are rich. And so like, hey, I'll help you. Hey, here's some money. You can buy up shares in your husband's architecture firm. That makes sense. That's a reasonable thing to do. And it fucks him over, but also like, it's totally above board. It makes business sense and everything.
Right. He'll be fine.
I don't understand what else they're trying to do. They're trying to like extort their...
They just keep asking them to write checks and to get more money. And it's like, where are they getting they want to make them destitute, I guess?
This is what annoyed me. It's like, I really liked this movie on terms of like old friends reconnecting and propping each other up. But it's like, yeah, I know it needs to have them do something. And so the thing they're going to do is sort of harebrained extortion, revenge, kidnapping thing.
But they were thinking
too
end? Small. So they wanted to actually turn the First Wives Club into an actual center that helps women who...
But that only comes in the final 8 minutes of the movie.
Yes, but that's because they realized that the whole good part was them getting revenge for themselves. But what they realized they needed to do was make money to actually fund this nonprofit so that they could help others. They realized they were rich.
All of that is
finally.
explained in voiceover, which says to me that they didn't realize
they had
what
like
we're filming is not doesn't make narrative sense here.
Open house or something. Like you get to see a decorated office. You get to see people having donuts.
And the real fucked up thing is when they lie to Victor Garber and say, you've been statutorily raping Sarah Jessica Parker, and we're gonna bring you to jail.
No, it's Elizabeth Berkley.
No, Sarah. Oh,
no,
sorry.
it's not.
Oh, yes, Elizabeth Berkley. Oh, that's Elizabeth Berkley.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Sorry.
Welcome to the podcast, Matt.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's no way in hell that's a 16-year-old. It's so weird.
I know, but like, okay, Morty's books are crooked. We can like call him on that.
Fine.
Victor Garber, he divorced me. I don't like that. He's dating a young person. I don't like that.
He's also taking all of the money she earned.
I know, but that's like stuff people do. Like, Goldie Hawn, get a better lawyer. Fight this.
Right.
You need your own Jerry from Succession.
True.
Also, like, yeah, he is entitled to half of your stuff. You were married. You had a partnership. He helped. He supported you in your life and your career. This is what marriage is. When you and I get divorced, you're going to get half of this podcast.
Can't wait.
You're going to get load B.
I'm going to cast. Oh.
And I'll be Ming Beans.
We went different with the beef fry.
So what happens then?
Well, just when does it turn for you? Because
Oh,
you liked it. And
it's
then,
when they start their scheme.
Wait, but the scheme is the whole fucking movie.
The scheme happens like 45 minutes. I'll play the clip here. The club is formed. They're like, look, we've been hanging out and having fun, but like, it seems like this movie needs a thing for us to do. So what's that thing going to be?
Cards. We're not hanging on by a thread and we're discards. Look at us by being together. Us. Unity. I mean, if all the first wives of the world got together, what else do we need?
Just one amazing attorney.
No. All we need is us. 3 women who aren't afraid to fight, to stand up for our dignity, huh?
Yes.
For our self-esteem. And then we'll let him have it. Okay.
Okay.
I'm
okay.
in
The
it works
conversation
for
is
me.
resetting. Okay. But what are we going to do? Well, here's what we'll do. We'll take them and we'll show them that we have us and that's enough. Okay, but what are we going to do then? Well, here's what it'll do. Just keeps going.
It does keep going.
You pointed out how obnoxious the score was in this movie.
Oh.
It is painful.
Yeah, it's like super 80s sitcom or something. I don't know
It's
what.
sitcom.
It's so.
It's sitcom.
It's
It
just corny as
just
fuck.
punctuates everything. You think this is funny? This is funny. We're having fun.
Wop, wop.
But the composer was nominated for an Academy Award for this movie.
Oh, must have been a slow year.
Must have been.
There you have it.
In the end,
don't
they
know.
learned that. Okay, there's 2 more things I wanted to ask you about.
What?
Diane Keaton has a daughter who's like, she likes her mom. She's like, yeah, Dad's kind of a scumbag. Let's get him, Mom. But also, I'm a lesbian.
What?
What do you think of this? The movie's treatment of the daughter being a lesbian.
It's hard to say if this was fair in the time or at all or ever. I mean, they use it as a weapon, so that's not
I mean,
cool.
it's definitely a joke because, like, Diane Keaton says to Goldie Hawn and Bette Midler, like, my daughter's a lesbian. And they give her, like, side eye, like, well, that's weird.
Well,
But
and the daughter says to Diane Keaton, doormat, and then Diane Keaton says, lesbian.
yeah, that's funny.
That's funny.
I can't tell, and neither of us is a lesbian, so we're not the ones who can say. But part of me was like, this is I kind of like how matter of fact and not making her the butt of the joke, but in some way she kind of is the butt of the joke. But
I
she's
think they handle it the way you would expect for the time, and
I mean,
maybe
yeah.
a little bit ahead of it. Like, I think they make it more center stage than most. It's not just mentioned once. They go to a gay bar. She gets to tell her dad herself. Like, I don't know. They at least get to make her a more full person.
Mhm.
So at least there's a spot in a very mainstream movie for a lesbian.
That's the thing. That's always the thing. Is like, hey, there wasn't.
There were
The
spots for gay
representation
men
was-
way longer before there were,
Yeah, I mean,
that,
fucking to America, lesbians. The only in Friends, it's a joke that Ross's ex-wife left him for a woman.
yeah, wow.
Fucking cook.
Right. Like,
and-
gay men are allowed to exist a little bit more easily or for a little bit longer than it took a while for the women to be okay with just themselves in movies
and
and it not to be their whole fucking identity.
what is the other thing I wanted to ask you
I
about?
don't fucking know.
Oh, well, just okay. Why does the musical the you don't own me?
So that doesn't make it a musical.
They talk about halfway through the movie, they're talking about, they're reminiscing upon Cynthia and all the fun they used to have together. Remember when we used to sing this song? That was silly. And they start to sing it. And
No, it was like, remember when we used to do this talent show, like this big major thing? Anyway, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I remember when we got on the stage and sang a fucking song as we were young adults.
they're looking at each other, following each
Yeah.
other. There's nothing
They're
playing on the
laughing.
soundtrack. Yeah.
Ba 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 da 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 da.
See? They're having fun. Oh, you guys.
It's
No,
fun.
I'm singing by myself. It's embarrassing. But then
Oh, jeez.
the end of the movie ends and they've
It's to show their
decided
evolution. Matt.
because
They're
being a
professional.
first wives club isn't enough and having all this money isn't enough. We need to put it to good use. And so we started the Crisis Center for Women Counseling Center. We're going to give therapy to women and people who need it. And then Bette Midler tweeted, like, what do you mean by women? Don't you mean people with vaginas? But then they're like, no, women. But let's say we're talking about Women Counseling Center. And they have a big gala. And they're like, this was a successful gala. We did it.
Let's all wear white coats.
Now we have an avenue to have galas and embezzle money and stuff and misappropriate
Yay.
funds via our crisis center. Okay, but they're like, we did it, guys. We did it. Now it is time to sing our song. And this is, again, when we watched the movie and I had to hide behind it, it was like the dinner party
I'm
episode
hiding.
of The Office. I found so cringy.
Okay.
If the music wasn't playing, wouldn't it be way more charming?
Oh, yeah.
They would seem like real people. This would not seem like a, what the fuck is happening?
I love it.
You love it?
I love it.
You really do?
Yeah, I do.
What's
They're
wrong
so
with me
fun.
then?
Because you just need everything to exist to make sense in real life. And
No, I
think
don't.
Yeah, you do. And I think that it's okay that this was very theatric and polished because at the end they are very polished women, and it is supposed to be a juxtaposition between the first performance.
No,
and the
this
last.
would be like,
yes, it is.
no, this
Yes,
would be
it is.
like in Drag Me to Hell when the giant hand comes up, or Cabin in the Woods, the giant hand comes up from the underworld and grabs all the characters and pulls them. It'd be like if that suddenly happened at the end of this movie. Like, this is quite a departure from what we've been
Fine.
watching.
Is it?
It's so weird.
Okay.
It's so weird. Hey, Jon
Bette
Stewart.
Midler, I'm sure, wrote this into the fuck. She's got to sing. She's a singer. That is what she's known for. Maybe she wrote it in.
Someone should have said no.
She's a big.
But this movie was an enormous hit.
because of the song.
Which again, I didn't know. Like 2 weeks ago, we did Fried Green Tomatoes. That was a huge hit.
Yeah. Things
First
you know
Wives
about
Club
aren't
made
the
almost $200 million
Damn.
worldwide, and this movie was adapted into a 4-season TV show in the recent with African American ladies in the recent past. So its legacy lives on, and Jon Stewart plays Goldie Hawn's lover in Scenes Deleted.
Okay.
And so here we are.
At the end of this podcast, please.
Did you notice that weird like adrenochrome reference?
What?
Victor Garber's like to Goldie Hawn. She's like, oh, your new girlfriend or whatever is like really cute and young. And he's like, yeah, you want to fucking drink her blood?
Oh, that's not adrenochrome.
No, it
The
was.
chrome. No, it's not. That is like a old thing that people say about.
No, you just don't know what to look for.
You don't own me.
Okay, what are your final thoughts? What are your rankings? Your ratings according to your little system?
I am disappointed that it did drag on. It beat a dead horse. So if I could just stitch together the first 50 and then the last 10, I'd be happy, I think. So a 3.5. I give it a 3.5. I'm so sorry. Anyway, what is your fucking rating?
As I said, I watched this twice in the past week. It was I halfway through the movie the first time. I was like, "This is fucking great!" I was so happy.
I know
and
you were.
you know, part of it is just I know movies today don't get made like this. It's so nice to see a movie like this. This is filmed in New York City, like actual New York locations. It's winter. It looks great. and it's got jokes, and these guys are funny, and I love them. And then it takes a turn and it just annoys me, and I start to resent it for how much I liked it earlier.
Right.
I gave it 2 stars that night. Today I watched it again. 2.5 stars. Because now I know what's going to happen. I'm more forgiving. I really think this is a waste, because this could be this could be a great movie. Everything's there. This director doesn't know what he's fucking doing, I don't think.
Hugh.
But Diane Keaton, Bette Midler, and to a lesser extent, Goldie Hawn.
Yeah.
Hey, love you, Goldie Hawn, in other movies. You're all legends. Good job. Good job, guys. I know you appreciate it. You know, you don't own me, but if you want to hear me sing, you can listen to the music of Rural Route 9. That's my band. And
I recommend it.
We do the theme song for Load Bearing Beams.
Not me and him.
Go to Spotify and look up Rural Route 9. And if you listen to track 10 on our album, The Joy of Averages, the song is called The Bible Towers of Bluebonnet. You'll hear a duet between Laci, my lovely wife, and I.
You should do it.
Don't tell me what to do. We sing. I'm Louis Armstrong. You say pajamas, and I say pajamas.
Okay. All right. And then follow us on YouTube. And I'm sleepy now. I must go. I've turned into a pumpkin.
Okay. Goodbye, people.
I love you. Goodbye.
3, 4. Everybody, love bearing beams, love bearing beams. Love bearing beams, love bearing beams. Love bearing beams, love bearing beams. Spider-Man, love bearing beams.